Morning, Canes fans. Welcome back to the Canes fan. Good morning, Canes fans. Good morning, Canes fans. Welcome back to the Canes Cave. I'm Perk. This is Just Win Canes. And what did the Canes do this weekend? It wasn't win. Tough game. And like myself, I'm sure that many of you are in mourning today after the loss to Georgia Tech. We spent the week leading up to this game listening to the coaches basically say that they weren't looking past Georgia Tech. They were taking them seriously. I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't. I think most fans didn't, especially with Georgia Tech's loss the week before. But here we are. This should have been a relatively easy game. My score prediction was 38-10. Terribly off. Once again, the Canes did not cover the spread. Others predicted that it would be closer to that, closer than that. And it was a close game, but a very low-scoring game. But, we're going to Monday morning quarterback this thing, and I'm going to try to, at the end of it, be a little positive. But listen, we got to call a spade and talk about what happened in this game. I didn't do it instant reaction after the game. I was busy and I was kind of looking at it here and there on my phone. I had to wait till I had an opportunity to sit down, watch the game in its entirety, which I did. My first observation was very vanilla play calling. Now I know that Coach Cristobal's philosophy is to have a very, very balanced attack. But what is wrong with just doing what you do best? And don't get me wrong, I understand that, the run opens up the pass. Right? I totally understand that. And we have a full room of, pretty good running backs, right? But I felt like we were just running the ball for the sake of just running the ball, just so that we could say that we were 50-50 or 60-40. But what is the identity of the team? We have up until yesterday or up until Saturday, TVD was considered, a quarterback that could work himself back into the Heisman conversation. So why are we not putting the ball in the hands of the playmakers, especially near the end of the game? We just run the ball, trying to run the ball down their throat. Very short yardage, no breakout runs. And I digress. First of all, I don't think our running game is as good as we would like it to be. Let's be honest. With the speed that we have, with the talent we have in the running back room, let's go back to, let's say, our easiest game of the year, which is Bethune-Cookman. We had good yardage against Bethune. But let's be honest. With the level of talent that we played against, which is not as good as Miami's, there should have been a lot more breakout runs. I mean, just racking up the yards on it, and we didn't do it. Which tells me, if we can't destroy someone on the ground that is a much less talented team than we are, then what makes you think that we are going to be able to do that in the ACC? From what I saw this weekend against Georgia Tech, you're going to try this balanced attack, just run the ball against Clemson, against North Carolina, against FSU? No. Our identity is the pass. We have playmakers. We've got Xavier Restrepo, sure-handed guy. That's what we should be doing, right? Yes, we should be running the ball. Yes, we should keep the defense honest. But I don't think we should just be running the ball for running game's sake. I think we should be focusing on what we do best. Now, let's look. If we look at the game as a whole, vanilla play calling. Vanilla play calling. I mean, for a minute there, I thought Gaddis was back. Now, what's the philosophy there? Are we thinking don't open up the playbook like we did against A&M because we don't need to with this team? If that's the case, then our scouting is, and our film review is terrible. We don't throw the book at them because we're trying to save some of the playbook for North Carolina, for Clemson, for FSU. Well, we gotta get there first. We need to win the game, and when we see that things aren't working, why don't we open up? I understand being patient, but what we did in the first half is awful. Go into the half with 3 points, and we only get that the end of the second quarter. Like what we were doing weren't working. Like adjustments were made at halftime, obviously, but those adjustments should have been made in the first quarter. And I feel that that first quarter attempt at going forward on fourth down, kind of set the tone for the game. And I think it emboldened Georgia Tech to say, oh, Miami is good, but they're stoppable. I mean, they went for it on fourth down. They were not able to impose their will upon us. So it emboldened them. It gave them life. And listen, it's a bounce back game for them. And they had nothing to lose. Nobody expected Georgia Tech to win that game. Nobody. So they had nothing to lose. They could just lay it all out there. And that's exactly what they did. They hung in there and fought to the end and capitalized on mistakes that we made. Okay. We'll get to the coaching mistake at the end of the game, but vanilla play calling, and then listen, the game killer for us was 3 picks by TVD. I digress. The 3 picks by Tyler Van Dyke. TVD didn't show up for that game. All right. And I don't, TVD was there during the A&M game. That was TVD. During the Georgia Tech game, that was just Tyler. His head was not in the game. There was not good chemistry between him and his receivers. It just wasn't working. The only thing that was working was Van Dyke to Restrepo. And he's a slot receiver, so a lot of that is underneath. He did catch a couple down the field, but for the most part, he's the guy, short yardage, and he's good at it. He's a great slot receiver. But Shannon Dawson really relies on that slot receiver to gain most of the yards in the passing game when we have so many other weapons. Yes, he did throw it to Kobe Young. All right, I get that. But he leans on that slot receiver. We have some pretty good tight ends. We don't even use our tight ends. We barely use them. Couple passes. Like McCormick, big old body up there. We should be using him. We should be throwing that ball up to him across the middle and let him get some yards after the catch. Because let's be honest, as good of a receiver as Restrepo is, he doesn't get a whole lot of yards after the catch, right? And I get it because the position of the field that he's catching his balls, mostly a lot of stuff over the middle, safety's right there, and he goes down, it's fine. But he's not a yards after the catch guy. He's a underneath pass right at the first down marker or towards the sideline guy. And he's great for that. But Restrepo doesn't usually catch a ball and then run another 15, 20 yards. That's not his forte. And especially how we use them does not lend to that, right? We did not make explosive plays on offense. TVD, I don't know what was going on in his head. Maybe he had a little fight with his girlfriend. Maybe he had a couple little the night before and got a little too loose. I don't know, but he wasn't himself. And the thing is, against Georgia Tech, even a subpar TVD shouldn't have been able to win that game. Like those 3 picks were terrible mistakes. Then we go back to coaching. Is there any situation in which you would pull a TVD? I'm not saying pull him for the whole game, but listen, as much as I dislike Nick Saban. Nick Saban has pulled quarterbacks while they're up 2 scores with no huge mistakes, just because maybe they didn't make as many first downs as he was like, or maybe they weren't, the quarterback missed a few good scoring opportunities. He'll pull the quarterback while they're winning. Okay? We had a quarterback that wasn't getting it done in the first half, threw 3 picks in the game, and we still left him in there. Coaching error. Okay? Another coaching error. Let's get down to the fourth quarter. We get to the fourth quarter. We get there, and we get a touchdown. We're up ahead. Few seconds left in the game. The game is won. Right? Now, granted, the fumble by Chaney, he was down. Officiating error, huge officiating error. It's been all over the media, all over the internet. You look, his elbow was down. They should have reviewed that and saw that there was not a fumble. He was already down. But listen, this is the Canes, and a lot of those controversial calls do not go our way. We already know that. That's the history of ACC officiating versus Miami Hurricanes. When in doubt, don't give it to Miami. We already know that. But we should have never gotten to that point, right? Yes, like everybody is saying, like you've been hearing nonstop since Saturday, should have took a knee. Could have called timeout, got you guys together and said, hey, listen, crucial drive. All right, let's keep our head in the game. Let's get through these next 30 seconds. Didn't do that. Could have tried to go hard count, draw somebody off sides. So what? You get a delay of game penalty. Guess what? You're still eating clock. Reset, take a knee. Reset, throw to the sideline to Restrepo. He doesn't drop passes. Okay? Or just throw it away. If the pass isn't there, just throw it away. Or we're just running, we're running the ball for running the ball's sake. And I understand. TBD threw 3 picks. We don't want to put the ball in the air, but we could have threw some safe throws just to eat clock. Let's throw a little screen pass that hasn't been working. Let's throw the slant that hasn't been working. It would have ate up clock, right? Short pass. Probably not going to throw an interception on a short pass. Little crossing route to Restrepo. Anything, but besides what we were doing. I hope that after the game that TVD makes an apology to his teammates for playing a crappy game. And you know what? When they're out doing laps or doing up downs, whatever they do as punishment for making the mental errors that they did during the game, so should Coach Cristobal. Coach Cristobal should be out there running laps with them, because that was a gigantic coaching error. And I think it goes back to philosophy, because historically he doesn't like to take a knee. Now, we should be able to learn from our mistakes, right? I'm sure that he preaches that to the team. You know, when they're watching film, hey, listen, this is what you did wrong in the future. When you see this coverage, you need to do this. He wants his guys to learn from the mistakes. He should do the same, I'm hoping. And maybe change his philosophy, tweak his philosophy just a little bit. That was the problem with Mark Richt. Mark Richt just wanted to do the same thing. You know what he says when they asked him about changing some things up? He says it's worked for him for 20 years. Why should he stop? Right? He didn't want to change. And, you know, that inability to change, inability to make some adjustments, even with his coaching staff, fire his son. Granted, he has some health issues too that aided his departure. But I think everybody realized that Mark Richt had taken the team as far as he could take them. And if he wasn't going to change a few things in his coaching philosophy and make some adjustments, that he wasn't the right coach for the team. I'm not saying that Coach Cristobal isn't the right coach for the team. What I'm saying is he's definitely going to have to, that adherence to his I don't want to take a knee at the end of the game policy just blew up in our face, and we lost one. Now, Granted, we should have never got to that point. Should have never got to that point. We should have opened up the playbook, done what we've done best. We should have been up two scores going into the second half. TBD shouldn't have threw those picks. Yes, the officiating should have been better, but it wasn't. But there we are. Okay, so made a mistake. Didn't take a knee. Didn't run the clock out. Now they have the ball back. Call timeout. Tell your defense, hey, listen, we're a few seconds away from a win. Keep them in front of you. Do not let anybody get behind you, especially the safety. Don't get beat on deep. If they get some stuff underneath, that's fine. We'll keep them out of field goal range. Don't let them get behind you. That's what should have happened. I don't know what was told to them, but we didn't do it. Defense, who had been playing lights out the whole game, made a mental error. They weren't coached properly at the end of the game, and they gave the game away. All of these combined, all of these situations combined are what led to that loss. It wasn't just one thing. Everybody gets blamed. I mean, the defense, to be on a positive note, the defense was, borderline elite in this game. Up until the last few seconds of the game, they were playing elite. Lights out. Kept them scoreless in the first half. It wasn't until the fourth quarter that we let things slip a little bit. All right? But even then, the defense kept us in the game, and they should be applauded for that. But that huge mental error on everybody's part, offense and defense, at the end of the game was deplorable. All right? But at the end of the day, no matter how egregious the errors were by the team and by the coaching, guess what? This is the end of the season. All right? Yes, we're going into North Carolina, not 5-0, but 4-1. Oh well, it happens. To be honest with you, I think everybody thought we were going to be going into North Carolina 4-1 anyway, because everybody figured, myself included, up until probably the game before, that we were going to lose to A&M, albeit a close game. I thought we would probably lose a close game to A&M. It wasn't until the day before, maybe the day of, that says, you know what, we're going to beat them. Check the video. I did predict the win, right? But here we are. We are 4-1. And listen, to be honest, I think most people, when they go into the game, if they know the Canes at all, you expect to win a game that nobody thought we would win and lose a game that nobody thought we would lose, right? Didn't think Georgia Tech would be the one, but there it is. We won against A&M. We lost against Georgia Tech. It is what it is, and we have to move forward, right? The team's got to move forward. Listen, they felt bad about it. You look on the sideline, guys are crying, all right? You don't think Chaney felt bad about that, all right? I mean, the kid was down, but didn't practice ball security, lost the ball. He's probably up all night thinking about that. He's going to be thinking about that all week. You don't think the TBD probably didn't get a wink of sleep after that game. Played a terrible game. And you think he just blew it off and said, oh, well? No. He feels bad about it too. He's a Cane at heart, just like we are. Okay? So I'm not going to be too down on them. I want to say that I think that they're going to take this loss, learn from it, and move forward. We still got a lot of games, but we don't have any more gimmies, really. I would think that, the beginning of the season, looking at the schedule, I would say Virginia and NC State, not a gimme, but much like Georgia Tech, will play us tough in the beginning, but we will win that game. I still say that. But, the picture's not quite as clear as it was a few games ago, right? But moving forward, defense is playing really well. We got to play it. Defense needs to play lights out for 4 quarters from here on out, especially going into North Carolina. TBD cannot have any more bad games for the rest of the season. He can't throw picks like that. He can't throw in the triple coverage, okay? And I'll be honest with you, if you would have watched a few of those gimme games that we had against Temple, against Bethune, he was throwing into double coverage, and I was clinching up a little bit, and I thought to myself, he made that throw, and it got there because it was Bethune, because it was Temple. Level of talent is different. Playing against the better teams, defender will close in on that and pick that pass off, and that's exactly what happened. Although that one in the end zone was just a bonehead throw. All right, I mean, the receiver wasn't open at all. He chucked that ball up there. Should have threw that away. That was a huge mental error. But you know, we got a lot of football left to play. Hopefully, the coaching staff gets these guys ready for North Carolina. We got to play them on the road. It's not going to be an easy game for us. But if the Miami Hurricanes that showed up for A&M shows up for North Carolina, we will have a good win, probably by 2 scores. All right. So listen, we're going to lick our wounds. Let's keep our head up, Kings Nation. It's still a great day to be a Miami Hurricane. Go Kings.